You are a worker who drank some bad Kool-Aid, and now you can move stuff with your mind. We begin with an ad for a Korean restaurant, and we meet the owner, whose name is Miss Shin. She claims that her father left her when she was young, and her mother is having a rough time. I feel that. Their restaurant apparently makes some great fried chicken. Yummy. After the ad, we see a kid named Rumi who notices that her store is being broken into. She fights back against a mob of white helmet people but gets immediately overwhelmed. Suddenly, a car arrives with Rumi's mom as the driver, who attempts to run them over but just crashes. At least you tried though. She gets dragged out of the car by the angry mob and immediately fucking dies. Rumi is sad, and so are some other non-white hat people watching this unfold. We cut to a hospital where we see the doctors doing some doctor stuff to her mom. We then see a meteor crashing into the earth, leaking some weird blue Kool-Aid liquid that enters Sukhan's drink. Ew, tastes like blue. Our main protagonist leaves, all confused while doing some odd arm stretches. We later cut to our boy jump scaring a poor janitor lady. He makes her some coffee and reveals that he is pulling a 2020 and stealing some toilet paper from his workplace. Sukhan then complains that he has an upset stomach from drinking that blue stuff from before. I'm sure we can all relate to that. Right? We move on to see our boy leave work, rubbing his stomach. He later sits down and starts drinking. He then notices that his tummy hurts even more. He gets in so much pain that he starts defying the laws of physics. Suddenly, everything around him gets pushed over. This alerts the store owner, who scolds Sukhan, calling him a drunk. Bruh. He goes home, where we then see our boy's living space, which is very organized. Our boy Sukhan decides to smoke, but is too lazy to light one up. Suddenly, he gets the idea to use the force on the lighter. It works. Oh crap, I have powers now. He looks at the lighter in confusion, and his joy is immediately snuffed out as he gets a phone call from his daughter Rumi, being told his wife died. We later see Rumi at the funeral looking all sad and stuff while we see Sukhan wander into the funeral service. They see a hysterical lady being restrained by some suit people. Rumi doesn't like that they're crashing her funeral and lightly headbutts one of the suit guys. She tells the suit people that she is supposed to see them in court, as they are the reason her mom died. One of the guys, who seems to be in charge of them, is named Mr. Ming, who tries to avoid the blame for her mom's death. Suddenly, someone breaks the altercation by requesting to resolve this conflict lawfully. One of Ming's men doesn't take kindly to this and tries to attack the stranger, but gets slapped by Ming for acting out. Ming offers Rumi money as compensation, which she throws in his face. Damn, this girl just rejected free money. Brutal. They leave feeling disrespected. Not before knocking stuff over, however. Rumi tells Sukhan to leave. Before he can, though, he is approached by the stranger from before who is named Jung. He's an attorney. He gives him his business card, and we later see that Jung shows Sukhan the restaurant that was broken into. Sukhan doesn't like Jung that much, asks him what he wants exactly, and tells him that he doesn't believe he's an actual attorney. Sukhan leaves and is sad again and starts throwing shit with his mind. He goes home and places a lighter on the ground, which hits him in the face. He looks at it and uses the force to grab it. Nice. Suddenly, everything in his house is floating. He is shook. We later see Sukhan suddenly appearing next to his boss and asks him if magicians make bank. Mr. Bossman says that they do be making bank. We cut to a crowd of people that lead Rumi and Sukhan to a big warehouse place to defend against the thugs. The attorney boy Jung says that he is getting the law on the case, but the others think that the law is on the thug's side. Rumi wants everyone to spend the night at the warehouse, but Sukhan doesn't like this idea. He thinks it's too dangerous for Rumi to stay, and the people staying there won't win a fight against the thugs. Damn, talk about low moral support. Rumi tells Sukhan to go, and he leaves like a beta. Later that night, we see Sukhan at a nightclub checking out some fancy clothes when the owner comes in. Sukhan asks the owner if he can perform tricks at his club. The owner wants to see what he can do, so Sukhan makes the owner's ashtray float a bit. The owner is impressed and wants to know how he did it, but he won't tell. Gotta keep that magician's code of honor. We then see Sukhan leave the nightclub, pumped as all hell. We cut to Rumi and the attorney guy saying the prosecutor's direct supervisor is coming. He arrives and says just the autopsy report on Rumi's mom's body won't be enough to convict the courts, but the attorney says that there was a dashcam at the scene of the crime. After hearing this, the supervisor promptly leaves. The attorney tells Rumi he is going to find the owner of the dashcam. She wants to come with, but he says nah. We cut back to Sukhan trying and failing to call Rumi. Suddenly, she drives past him, not even stopping to give him a ride. Rude. Rumi gets out of the car and starts talking to a crowd of people, with Sukhan slowly catching up to her. Sukhan wants to talk with her in private, and they go inside a store. He tells her that he is about to earn some big bucks with some cool-ass magic tricks. He then pulls out a tie and does some cool stuff with it, confusing the heck out of Rumi. He also turns the tie into a snake. This doesn't impress Rumi. He does some more magic stuff, but is told to stop by her. He tells her he has powers now and can make money for her, but Rumi tells him he keeps running away from his problems. She then starts crying, saying that Sukhan is ruining her life and leaves. Bruh. We later see Sukhan sadly walking home and eyes Mr. Ming, who is sucking on a popsicle before driving off. We then realize that the thugs are approaching the warehouse. The people in it start getting ready and barricade the walls a bit, but the white helmet people arrive and start attacking the barricade. They begin assaulting the people and Sukhan arrives trying to push past some of them, accidentally throwing one of them in the process. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have powers now. He throws the other two white helmet people and begins using his power to attack them. When the coast is clear, Sukhan quickly checks on Rumi before throwing more people around like Gmod ragdolls. Everyone gets up and one big boy attempts to square up with Sukhan. He then grabs him by the arm with his special powers and does some invisible arm wrestling with him. He then lifts the thug up into the air and drops him when he realizes that the cops arrived. We cut to Mr. Ming and Rumi trying to explain to the cops what happened, with Ming acting like he was the victim. The cop interrupts their bickering and asks for proof. Ming shows him a camera that recorded the fight and Ming shows him a part of the video that shows Sukhan using his powers on the guy from before. Rumi says that he's trying to bullshit them and Ming tells Sukhan to do what he did to the guy in the video to him. Sukhan just coughs as a response. Savage. The cop says both parties are at fault and they are escorted out of the room. They all leave and immediately start laughing. The boys in the crowd start praising Sukhan and the attorney comes back while they are celebrating. Rumi and Ming lock eyes for a second before leaving. We later cut to the white hat people vibing by a car before noticing a fuck ton of books floating in the air. When suddenly, their car moves a bit too. They investigate and the car just flies away. They run away in terror at what they just witnessed while we see the car being used to be turned into a blockade for Sukhan's group. Sukhan then does some weird hip motions to telepathically close a door until he finally closes it. He then starts doing some weird tongue stuff trying to lock it. Everyone around him is super creeped out. Sukhan gives up and just crushes the door. Good enough. They praise Sukhan for his powers and the attorney makes a weird sound on the balcony for some reason. The group heads downstairs, but the attorney stops Sukhan asking him how he learned his ability overnight. Sukhan says he was given the ability to have a chance at becoming a good dad. That doesn't answer his question though. We cut to Ming and his thugs at their HQ when some people come in saying that they want to quit because they think they are going to hell for what they're doing. Ming tries to cheer them up but gets a phone call. Apparently someone wants to have a lunch date with him. Ooh, we cut back to a big-ass barricade made of debris, with Rumi and the attorney guy Jung just chilling. Jung says that her dad is a hero, but Rumi tells him that her name means lowly and weak, and her dad shouldn't be called a hero because he named her that. No, she is going to freak out when she finds out what Elon Musk named his kid. Jung likes the name though. Rumi decides to go to the roof where she sees her dad having a good time with some peeps by a fire. We cut ahead to the next day with Rumi who is arranging an interview with some interview people. Sukhan pops up and says that he wants to eat with Rumi. She is a bit iffy but goes along with it anyways. They walk up to a soup store and sit down. Rumi asks about Sukhan's abilities possibly affecting his health. He doesn't think it matters, but she wants him to visit the doctor anyways. We return to Ming having a dinner with someone named Director Hung who says, right as she comes in. Classy. She complains his food choice and invites some soup people into the room who kick down Ming's door. They beat the shit out of him while Hong tells him to stop. It doesn't work. Hong drops the act and says she was recording the audio of him being beaten up to avoid legal troubles. Well, that's one way to do it. She serves him food on the floor and Ming tells her about Sukhan and his powers. It's revealed here that the people Ming is fighting are illegal squatters trying to evict them. Wait. Why is he the bad guy? Hung gives him 2 days to evict all the squatters from the warehouse. We return to our squatter gang eating in a restaurant, and one of them shows a news story of Sukhan using his powers. They then get a professional on the show who thinks Sukhan is using a small device which is the source of his powers. He then says he got the weapon from North Korea. The squatters watching the vid don't like that assumption. Sukhan then arrives and wonders why everyone is looking concerned. A day passes, and Sukhan notices a car approaching them. They claim to be the police, and they ask for Sukhan. The police dudes want to arrest Sukhan, claiming that he was stealing supplies from someone. Sukhan is confused and approaches them to explain the situation. He gets cuffed voluntarily and is taken to the car and driven away. We then cut to the attorney guy who gets a call while driving. It's Rumi saying that the cops took her dad. Attorney boy says he's on his way to deal with it. Suddenly, he gets a call from the prosecutor from before, saying that someone turned themselves in for killing Rumi's mom. We then see Hong tell Ming to get one of the guys to confess to killing Rumi's mom, and for Ming to shut down his business and make a new one to solve everything. We go back to the attorney, who is hella stressed out. He calls Rumi, saying that they are in trouble. Suddenly, a ton of police arrive with bulldozers planning to tear down the warehouse they're hiding out in. Jong tells Rumi to run away, but Rumi says, nah. As the police approach, we cut to Sukhan in prison, where he meets Hong. We go back to the police closing in and being attacked by reporters, while being escorted by Ming. Back to Hong, she is very interested in his abilities and guesses that he can't control his power. She says she can easily screw him over and wants to offer him a job. Hong also mentions that Rumi is about to get arrested. We go back to the police, who are about to bulldoze the building, with the protesters throwing Molotovs at them. A crane comes in and knocks Rumi down. It begins breaking their walls, and Rumi tries to save someone stuck under some debris. We see Rumi trying to free a protester and succeeds, but nearly gets blown up in the process. Close one there. Back to Hong, she gives Sukhan the option to either be labeled as a dangerous man, making his daughter fear for her life in the future, or accept that he's a slave and live a quiet life. She gives him a business card to call her when he decides. She leaves and we go back to the police trying to break through the wall. Ming tells the police to hurry up, and we cut to Jung at home, showing his mom the riot on the news. We then see Jung hauling ass, and we cut back to Rumi getting a call from him, who has come to help her. He tells her to go to the roof, and she brings the other protesters along with her. We return to Sukhan, who is being locked back in his cell. He steals a cell phone from a detective and sees all the destruction that the police did to the warehouse. He is upset. Sukhan goes Super Saiyan and uncuffs himself and takes his anger out on his cell. We then see Hong walking outside, and Sukhan jumps out the building. She gives him a thumbs up and he shows her the business card, and then he crushes her car and flies away. Bruh, you could have just said no. Sukhan flies towards the massive cloud of smoke in the city, but crashes into some stuff. He then refocuses and starts hopping to his destination. He retakes flight, and we cut to the protesters going to the roof of the building while being followed by white helmet people. One of the protesters almost gets knocked off the ledge, and we see him being sprayed by a water hose while hanging on for dear life. We go back to Sukhan, who keeps crashing into stuff. Come on, it can't be that difficult to fly, right? Back to the protester being waterboarded. He loses his grip, but gets saved by Sukhan just in the nick of time. The protester tells him that Rumi is on the roof. This gives Sukhan the idea to fly up there, but accidentally bumps into a crate of police people. This causes him to fall into a room full of police officers, which he fights. He immediately gets sprayed and beaten, but he has the power of God and anime on his side and goes apeshit on them. We return to Rumi on the roof with other protesters who are being swarmed by police officers. Rumi gets taken by a group of them, and Sukhan breaks the window and flies out. He gets to the roof and gets attacked by police. He uses the force to get them off him, buying the protesters enough time to escape through a ladder. We then cut back to the crate Rumi is stuck in, which starts to break. One police officer almost falls out, which she tries to help. Hey, don't help him. He tried attacking you 5 seconds ago. We return to Sukhan, throwing some police around, and he lifts the rest of his protesters over the ladder bridge. Man, why didn't you just do that before? He then notices the falling crate with his daughter inside. He brings it closer to the roof, straining as he does so. Suddenly, the container breaks and Rumi falls down, but before she could pull a Gwen Stacy, Sukhan saves her. He then tells Jung to take care of his daughter and then just floats away. Sukhan then steals some police batons and flies above the officers directly to Mr. Ming. He tells Ming that he won and punches Ming into a wall, knocking him out. Get fucked, nerd. Sukhan lets an officer arrest him willingly and gets walked to a police car. We cut to the future where we see an older Sukhan leaving prison where he meets Jung, who offers him a ride. He gets in and Jung tells him that he will marry his daughter. Sukhan is slightly displeased but is okay with it. The attorney drives Sukhan to the restaurant that was torn down before. However, due to some price inflation, no construction was done and it's just a plot of grass. Mission accomplished, I guess. Sukhan gets dropped off and reunites with Rumi, who is older now. She stares at him for a bit and demands him to help her serve food. He then flexes his powers and serves beer to the customers. Everyone is pleased that they're getting free beer. Speaking of beer, did you know driving drunk is an excellent way to get into an accident? Crazy, I know. You should watch this video about an expert getaway driver to help you understand what it means to be a good driver.